Come take a look at the very first 2 expansions for FFG's new Runewars miniature game. Spiky Bits. What's up, Hobby Maniacs? Rob Baer with you again today, checking out these brand new expansions for Runewars. Of course, the new tabletop game from FFG. It's a pretty exciting game. I played a lot of demos with the starter. I actually have the starter set painted up already, and you know, been having pretty much a lot of fun with this game. I like the mechanic overall, where it's ranked infantry blocks along with a little bit more familiar mechanics, dials and maneuver templates that are very familiar probably to a lot of X-Wing players out there. So I'm really excited. I'm super stoked, and I am really looking forward to digging into the new expansions. Of course, we have the Waiqar and the Dakan expansions here to take a look at, and then there's even more on the horizon. Latari's coming out, the new elves, the crazy wood elves for Runewars, and of course we're already seeing a brand new faction that I'm sure FFG is going to talk about a lot more at Gen Con this year, 2017. So let's jump right into it. So first off, let's take a look at now this was a box, Reanimate Archers expansion from FFG, $24.99. Comes with 2 infantry blocks of the archers here. Now this is what came in the starter. It is, but it's got different upgrades and stuff in here, so it's definitely a must-have. And plus, you can add it to your starter forces once you pick this up, and I'll show you why that's a good idea. So here they are. Of course, they come unpainted. You do have to paint them yourself. Like I said, I have a painted starter, so we're going to show you an example of some of these painted miniatures right here. Here's all the upgrade cards and everything. It comes with 5 upgrades, 1 specific to this faction right here. All the tokens you need, the unit card, and the maneuver dial right here, because remember, everything else you're gonna have from your starter box itself. So I love this feel right here. I wish some of the games out there that we showcase on this channel, obviously Warhammer and even Age of Sigmar, I wish they had this mechanic right here. I think FFG's very forward-thinking in this mechanic, and I think it's a great thing to bring forward and kind of just have the stuff laying out on the table. Quick reference, ready to go, super easy to see. So when you open this bad boy up, you know, you're gonna be like, oh, okay, it's kind of cool. It's a nice retail pop kind of format here. You've got your maneuver template, or your block infantry right there. You get 2 little baggies of infantry. Remember, these guys rank up and such. Your maneuver dial stand, upgrade cards stand in the little dial buttons right there. More infantry, because remember, these guys rank up completely. And then you got to pull out your doodad here and grab the card to punch out and the instructions for all that right there. So there's quite a bit. It's quite involved to get this stuff out right here. So let's zoom in a little bit on all this material here and kind of show you what we're working with, because again, I like how it comes all kind of pre-baggied. Everything's self-contained. Doesn't look like anything is, you know, going to get damaged. You've seen the maneuver, or you've seen the unit trays. We're not going to really talk about that. Now, if you're just checking out the game for the first time, yes, these are not quite the multi-part plastic that you might be expecting from a game like Games Workshop. It's more akin to the plastic that Privateer uses in some of their starter stuff. It's doable, it's workable. It is a little bit kind of pliable. It is a little on the push fit side, of course. These are, of course, I picked the most daintiest ones to try to put together. They can be a little annoying. They go together a very specific way. Something like that. I might even have the wrong one right there, but you kind of get the idea. They should be the same ones in here, actually. But of all of the miniatures they put out so far, the archers are kind of the most frustrating to put together. But anyways, you get the idea. We're not gonna waste a bunch of time on that. So they do come unpainted. The little stands here lock into the maneuver trays right here. And you've got 4 different varieties of that to check out. The models themselves are commanded by a maneuver dial, or I guess more of a command dial. Oh, this isn't going to come out of here, is it? Nope. So you use a command dial much like in X-Wing, except for it's kind of 2 different dials right here. You've got one on the left, one on the right. And when you lock the pegs in, you're going to show that you're ready to go by putting this down on the little stand. Okay? So here they are right here, and this is going to show you all the actions. Now, the reason this is important to check out is you can kind of get an idea of how good they are in combat. They're a 9 initiative, so think of pilot skill and X-Wing. They're going to go, they're going to plan their maneuvers or their actions last. So that's really low. They're probably going to get picked up if in combat, depending, last, because they're not going to get to swing. However, they do get to shoot relatively quick at initiative 5. Some maneuvers and stuff right here. They can, of course, do some quick marches, but those are at 6 and 7 initiative. They can reform at 2 initiative. They can shuffle a couple of different links here at 6 and 7. They do have a little bit of maneuver ability here, but it is at neg1, so they're not the fastest. They can rally. Maybe more importantly is that they have a surge on their dial, which we're going to show you why that's important here in a minute. And they can perform a skill if they possess a card to do so. Now, when we take a look at their actual unit card, you're going to kind of see why this comes into play here. So first off, Reanimate Archers. There they are right there. There's the total cost. So if you want to pick these guys up, you can add them to your existing starter army, starter unit. So you're going to have 2 in your starter. You pick up 2 here. Now you're looking at a cost 32 with, you can have 1 of those upgrades and 1 of these upgrades here. Now the set comes with 4 generic upgrade cards and 1 faction specific upgrade card right here. Now, as far as what they can do themselves, well, for ranged attack, for 2 surge, they can, when they target a defender with a ranged attack, the defender gets a blight token, which is super important because, remember, you can use that blight token, you can pick it up when they go to activate and they go to perform an action with the dice. They would get less attacks or dice effects with that particular dice right there. So this is pretty huge. And then also there's other things in the Waiqar army that require surge to be on a unit. So this is a very important thing to give surge out, and the quicker you can do it on a lot of different units, it's going to help out the synergy of the rest of your undead guys. Now they also have steadfast doubt cards. So while you're suffering a morale test, treat anyone with doubt as having 1 additional morale icon. So it's a little bit harder for units to break these guys or, you know, perform a negative morale test to them, because now they might only have, you know, they might only be popping off 1 morale, whereas now it will require 2. They might not have it. So instead of just a gimme, it's going to take a little bit more effort on your part. Now each one has a toughness of 1 and shield value of 1 right there. So and as far as attacks go, well, they're obviously better at shooting than at combat there. So they can do 1 red, 1 blue, and melee is only 1 red. Now, as far as the cards go, these all are quite relevant. And I don't think... Oh, yeah. So Terrifying Heraldry does come in the starter, but none of these other 3 cards, or 4 cards, come in the starter right here. And the reason these are all important is you're about to see. First off, Tempered Steel exhausts this card to add 1 damage to the attack. So that's pretty good. Spending a surge, which we just saw right here, you can automatically get a surge. Easy game, easy life right there. If you want to equip this, and it's very easy to do, you only have to have at least 4 blocks of infantry to equip that card. Close quarters targeting. You can perform a ranged attack into enemies that are engaged with you, and you do not have to perform the morale, because remember, if you're shooting into combat with friendly forces that are engaged with enemy forces, generally that forces morale on them, so you would not be the victim of that, which is pretty cool. And that's a very easy card to equip on this unit. Starts right at the beginning right there. And Combat Ingenuity, I like this one. The number of surge that precedes your surge abilities is reduced by 1 to a minimum of 1. This does not affect surge plus abilities right there. So this could go on any of the Waiqar units. You can see right there, immediately their blight attack is reduced by 1, which is pretty good. Then we got Wind Rune, and I think this is probably the most far encompassing of all of the runes, or all of the cards that are in this set right here, because this can be on anybody, remember? So if you perform a skill, If you perform a natural energy, that's natural energy right there. So however many natural energy you've thrown on the board, it's that number. If you've thrown 2, then it counts for 2, counts for 3, whatever. I don't think you can get 4. I'd have to double check that. Then you can perform a speed, whatever natural energy. We'll just say 2 for this example right here. Speed 2 shift, then perform a free reform. The shift cannot be used to disengage, so you can't disengage from combat. But what that's going to allow you to do is you can do silly stuff like if somebody gets behind your line or somebody starts hitting your flank, you can get these guys that might be pointed this way, you can bounce them back, and then maybe they could get a free reform and start targeting that way or something like that, or just get a free general reform to maybe you're going to set up something else. With shooting, you kind of understand where I'm coming from, but this is far reaching. This is a relatively easy equipment card to get on things that have 4 blocks of infantry, starting, you know, with the Archers card there, for example. I think it's pretty encompassing, and I think you're going to see a lot more of that. It's pretty tactful and pretty sneaky, to say the least. Now, as far as the miniatures go, I just wanted to show you a quick showcase of some of the ones we had painted up by White Metal Games. You can check them out right here, and of course they're always available for commission painting as well. Sometimes we don't have time to get to all of our projects around here, and I want to get these guys painted up for the tabletop really quick to try out some of these games. So this gives you an example of what you can do with your very own miniatures for the Reanimate Archers in Runewars. Alright, so let's take a look at the Infantry Command expansion up next. And part 2 of this unboxing is, of course, the Waiqar Infantry Command, introducing 4 new unit character upgrade cards, 4 blocks of infantry. We've got the drummer, a standard bearer, a champion, and of course a necromancer right here. This, I think it's a $25 box set as well. Expansion from FFG. It comes with a slew of upgrade cards, some cards that are generic and can be used by other infantry models depending on faction, or undependent on faction right there. And then of course you've got the character upgrades themselves, the different flavors. I think there's 3 or 4 of each one that you can field for them. Now opening it back up, of course you've got your bag of characters, your upgrade cards, and then the incredibly hard to remove instruction manual, and actually that was a lot easier than last time and unit movement tray right there. So we're gonna only concentrate really on that stuff, but you can see here they're relatively easy. It looks like the necromancer is all a single part right there, and it gives you a little fluff and background on all that, and then the component list too, very similar to what we see in X-Wing. Now, as far as the miniatures themselves, of course, this is the unpainted plastic that we talked about earlier in the video. This is something that you're going to want to hobby on. It's not, it's not a multi-part plastic kit. You will need to heat it up and kind of bend certain areas right there, but they're still pretty well detailed. I mean, this is stuff that FFG can get out the door quick, so keep these expansions rolling. And it's things we've seen in the past with like Imperial Assault for Star Wars and all sorts of stuff like that. So there's the standard, you've got the champion right here, oops, lots of different parts going into all these guys, and a lot of them are pretty cool because you can just kind of slap them together when you're building them up. And there's a shield arm, or actually that goes on the back of the champion, part of, I think is it this one? But anyways, they go together, they only go together one way, and there is the exploded diagram. Yeah, there it is on the other page to show you how to do that, but that's not the main focus of all this. Of course, it's a little bit of upgrade action right here. Now, the thing about character upgrades, and you'll see this actually in the starter too, there's actual character upgrades for most of the units that come, or the characters that come in the starter too. Like you can field them like this, or they had a unit card themselves, so you can field them any way right there. So you can see here that some of these guys have multiple versions of the ways you can take them in this army right here, and there's the standard. So 3 different ways to field each one. We'll go over each of those here in a second. So let's zoom in real quick and get a little bit better of a view here. So here's your Necromancer, and there's 3 different flavors of Necromancer you can take, which you can see right here. Energy or enemies engaged with you cannot perform, that's not reform, cannot perform a shift. This necromancer has a skill that is based off of natural energy right here, it looks like. Let's see. Oh, that's cool. It gives them regenerate, so you can actually get back miniatures. That's pretty neat. Deathcaller is also pretty good. Spend a blight token from an enemy at range 1 to 5 in line of sight and cause that many. What is that? That is stable magic wounds. So whatever stable magic is showing, you can cause that many. That's basically casting spells. That's pretty neat to see. So that's the mechanic for kind of doing a little bit of magic action right there. On the standard side, you've got, or this is the drummer. When you perform a march, you may treat it as modified by a turn. Not exactly sure why you would do that, but as modified, I don't know. I'll have to look that one up. You do not receive panic tokens for disengaging from enemies here. That's pretty cool. Because traditionally these guys have a little bit of invulnerability to morale, but not a ridiculous amount where you're just going to do it all willy-nilly. And aggressive drummer, when you perform a march, treat as modified by a charge. Treated as modified by a charge, you do not receive panic tokens for failing to collide with an enemy during a charge. Interesting. Okay. Well, I'm going to have to look up those mechanics because that's something I am not familiar with. Obviously, if you are, please leave in the comments field right there. That's a little bit of tactics I'm not aware of, so we'll definitely get on that one. For the champion itself, we got Executioner skill. Choose a wounded figure in an enemy engaged with you and remove it. Oof, that's dirty. That's Judge, Jury, and Executioner for sure. Fallen Hero. Add, what is that? Natural energy to this unit's available. Oh no, that's an upgrade slot right there. So add Artifact to this unit's available upgrades. When this figure is removed, discard one upgrade card that is equipped to this unit. Okay, so that's a way of like shoehorning upgrades into a unit that couldn't normally take them. Because remember on the back of your, I don't have one, but remember on the back of your unit card, it says for this amount of bases, you can take this many upgrades. Miscellaneous Saboteur, discard one non-figure upgrade card from your enemy engaged with you. Ooh, that can be brutal too. So these champion cards are definitely pretty dope. And of course, 1 toughness, 1 wound there. So the Fallen Hero seems to be the best one there. And then over to the Standard Bearer. Standard Bearer seems pretty cool. He's got a lot of, the Raven Standard Bearer I like. Increase the initiative of your red actions, or the initiative is decreased by 1, so that'll get you there a little faster. These guys are a little slow in the combat in a lot of cases. Blightum Vexellum Banner. When you collide with an enemy or enemy collides with you, enemy receives 1 blight token, which we know is huge for these guys. They love to give out the blight tokens to pop off other abilities. And Profane Banner Bearer Protector. Oh, cool. So what this does is any ally at range 1 to 2 cannot be targeted by attacks if that attack could target this unit with this protector. But remember this guy, so you can take the wounds on this guy or the unit himself. So there's those. And then we've got some upgrade cards too, which may look to be all independent of faction, which is kind of neat to see. So Shield Wall, I love Shield Wall. That's a good one. I think we saw that in the starter. When defending, if you have more movement trays than the attacker, you may exhaust this card to increase your defense by 1 for this attack. That's pretty neat for 5. I think it's worth it. File Leader, if an enemy collides with you during a charge, perform a melee targeting that enemy before that enemy is melee. Okay. This melee can only be performed while your command dial is revealed with the melee selected. Will that make sense? Fortuna's Dice, exhaust this card. So it's a melee or a ranged. Change 1 die to a face of your choice. Ooh, always liking that. Triumphant Cry. If an enemy you are engaged with is destroyed, you may perform a reform. Okay, liking that. And Simultaneous Orders. After you perform a skill, you may resolve the effects of another one of your skill abilities. For 2, that doesn't seem too bad. That could have some tactical application. And the Raven Tabard, which is for anybody, the initiative of your blue actions is decreased by 1. So there's that right there. That's pretty neat. I like that. So that kind of goes off the red one right there. And that can be used for anybody. So that's it. Those are the 2 new expansions for the Waiqar in the brand new game Runewars. I think it's a great game, and obviously if you like Undead, you like Necromancers, you like raising troops, you like block massed combat, and you enjoy some of the mechanics already out there existing from FFG, you're definitely going to want to check this game out. If this faction appeals to you, well, hey, you know right where to start, but definitely pick up the starter. Get some games under your belt and then jump on into these expansions both feet first for sure. Now, if you like these features here on the channel, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Turn notifications on so you can be the very first to comment and thumbs up our videos. And head on over to thelongwar.net. That's the home of the battle reports for exclusive content, early access videos, and more. Become a veteran of the Long War today.